After Tape 1, Lost Records Bloom in Rage had the potential to be my favourite game of the year. I played through it multiple times, I made several theories and took part in endless speculation conversations. Developers DontNod could have returned to their narrative height accomplished in the first two Life is Strange games. I don't think my excitement for the second half could be any higher. With the release of Tape 2 Rage now here, was my excitement justified, and is this now my favourite game of the year? What's up? How's it going, people? Welcome to Casual Gamer Reviews. If you want to see more of these reviews, or maybe my spoiler casts and general gaming discussions are your niche, then please leave a like and subscribe, as it really helps the channel. My first playthrough of Tape 2 was actually shorter than the first installment at around 6 hours, but naturally I've played through it twice already, reviewed on Xbox Series X. I'm not going to delve too much into the gameplay here, as it's pretty much exactly the same as Tape 1, so check out my review of that to have a more in-depth look. There was one gameplay aspect of Tape 2 that differed, and that was this really misplaced stealth section, which I didn't enjoy at all. You have to move between bushes to avoid someone's gaze, and it felt really out of place and unnecessarily wedged into the story. Outside of this, it was usual interactions with objects, filming with the camera, and some really light puzzle solving. Similarly, the visuals follow on from Tape 1, and unfortunately they do have the same performance bugs. Texture pop-in and stuttering, clipping, and misaligned lip sync were all still present, which is a shame. I will, however, continue to gush about how good the art and character designs are in this game. All four girls continue the trend of just being unapologetically quirky, and normalizing certain quality societal norms tend to bully. For Tape 2 specifically, I have to give an extra shout out to Kat, who has a visual transformation that is really cool. There are scenes later on where the girls are wearing certain items that had me going crazy in the picture mode. It was a nice mix of intimidating and super fucking punk. Then there's the Abyss, which continues to impress whenever it is in the scene with its hypnotic glow. Looking back towards the character models, there was something I thought in Tape 1 and never mentioned in my review, but after playing Tape 2 I feel like it's even more relevant now. The eyes in this game are beautifully designed. DontNod have done something really special here to make them so captivating. The reflections alone can impress, but what really makes them stand out is the raw emotion they express. You can really feel someone's sadness, fear, or love just through the design of the eyes. It's amazing. You revisit some areas for the most part, but there are some new environments to explore, especially in the second half. While it lost the 90s aesthetic, as Tape 2 is in the dark for a large part, there is still thorough set dressing with everything meaningfully placed, giving you so much more story and little nods to mysteries if you want to discover them. The soundtrack of Tape 2 adds a couple of new songs to its roster, the main one being The Veil by Ruth Radler. While I was disappointed not to have more punk music as I expected, considering this tape was called Rage, one of the new licensed song additions hands down captured one of the best scenes in the whole of Tape 2. A truly ethereal section that hit my emotions on so many levels. As the additions were light, the game's official soundtrack stays pretty much the same, being made up of only the three artists, Ruth, Milk and Bone, and Nora Kelly Band. There are some licensed tracks, one of which had my favourite scene in Tape 1 and makes a return, which is Sparks. I still agree with my sentiment from my first review, which is that this soundtrack is by no means my favourite. However, the way that they implement them into the story situations is always so impactful, and it adds that extra emotional layer that creates the memorable moments. I am happy to report that the tinny voice lines have not carried over into Rage, which confirms my speculation about the poor sound quality being a bug. The camcorder collectibles return for better or for worse, and yes, some of them still feel boring and pointless. The others though do add some really nice insight and little extra story bits if you watch them back, so it can feel rewarding in that way. The main piece of side or bonus content in Lost Records though remains the dialogue choices and branching paths. I've played through twice and had different things happen in almost every scene. I've spoken to people that got even more variants than I did, and looking at the stats at the end of the game, it looks like there are 5 or 6 ways that the final action in 1995 can go. It does ultimately end the same, which is slightly upsetting, but how you get there can really vary. The thing everyone, including myself, have been waiting for is the conclusion to this story. How does Rage answer all the theories and speculations we got from tape 1? How does it wrap up the girl's story? How does it connect to the present day? This is where my biggest gripe with tape 2 lies. Tape 1 was so special because it had a slow but meaningful build up where you got to know the characters and start to get a feel for the mystery and possible nightmare presented to you. It ends with such a bang that I was left on the edge of my seat waiting for the shit to hit the fan and, well, rage when tape 2 hit. Therefore, you can understand my complete bewilderment when it goes back to being very sluggish again. I was probably about 2 or 3 hours in when the story started to pick up, and I just could not and still cannot understand why DontNod chose to start the second half so slow again after such a powerful ending to the first half. Why lose that momentum? The story does pick up and I enjoyed it from that point, but then I got to the ending which I thought was a misstep. I can't go into spoilers in this review, but I will be doing a spoiler cast where I will deep dive into my thoughts, so keep an eye out for that one if you're interested. Moving back to the positives though, the devs once again showboat their quality with character writing, and you really feel like the relationships between these characters are your own. Everyone is romanceable, but trust me, the conditions are pretty high to meet. You have to really think about your dialogue choices, but I do think that adds to the realism. Kat has a pretty powerful arc as you can expect given the ending of tape 1. The girls in both 1995 and 2022 also have pretty satisfying arcs. I did not like Corey's arc though. He goes from your run-of-the-mill bully to a sadistic monster, which is such a sudden and jarring change that it stood out like a sore thumb. Unfortunately, this is just another thorn in the side of the story's conclusion. As I said at the start, after tape 1, Lost Records Bloom & Rage was set up to become my favourite game of the year. With tape 2, there are things that definitely could have taken it to that level with the excellent character writing and relationships, incredibly powerful scene setting, and intuitive branching dialogue options. Unfortunately, it still has performance issues and a story that inexplicably starts off at a snail's pace again after the climax from the first half, and a conclusion that leaves more questions than answers. For something that is titled Rage, I wasn't expecting to wait for 3 of my 6 hours to get to anything that resembles what the title suggests. Lost Records Bloom & Rage Tape 2 Rage gets a casual gamer score of 7 out of 10. DontNod are clearly setting up a new universe here after handing the rights of Life is Strange over to publisher Square Enix, and I am really excited to see where they take it. Whilst I was slightly underwhelmed by the showing of Tape 2, it is still very clear that the writing and atmosphere that this studio brings is one of a kind. My overall views of Bloom & Rage are a lot more complex than I can portray in this review, so please keep your eye out for my spoiler cast where I will go into a lot more depth about my thoughts and feelings, and where I would like them to go next. This was definitely a good first step towards a new franchise by the narrative masters. If you enjoyed this review, then please consider leaving a like and subscribe, and let me know your spoiler-free thoughts of Tape 2 in the comments below. Check out the channel for my recent reviews of Split Fiction and South of Midnight, and for everything casual gamer, keep it here. Peace and love.